こうして師匠と同じ布団で寝るなんて夢にも思わなかったのだ。
ああ、誘ってくれてありがとうな、みちる。
師匠が体を手に入れてくれてよかったのだ。
みちる、お前、僕の体が目当てなの。
Dude, I'm younger than your daughter. Stop it. Hello and welcome to another streaming parson Dig Delight Direct Drive DJ video. Today we are talking about D4DJ's Ghost in the Shell, Dr. Nova. Ever since Nova's introduction inside Nova 7, his presence consistently loomed over the D4DJ narrative. This became more pronounced the more his daughters took center stage since their introductions. In D4DJ and Father Figures, I compared him to other father figures in Groovy Mix's story. For a sequel, I made 2 videos talking about how he influences his daughters despite being so distant from them. For a hat trick, we will see that not only is he alive, but he is an active main character in Groovy Mix. Shy of a year ago in Programmed Personhood, I tried sounding super poetic on how Nova figuratively came back for Neo through Lumina's return at the end of Crossbeat. I stated that an important aspect of Lumina's character development is how she embraced being like her father through their love and devotion to Neo. In the Scarlet Songstress, I took this notion a step further by stating that Lumina is a stand-in for Neo's inevitable need to reconcile with her father so that she can succeed her mother without being held to the past. Even the Nova stand-in was meant to be metaphorical to enrich symmetry between autonomy and lineage, and of course, my prediction of the next major story arc being what I dub the Arya Succession War between Neo and ultimately Irie. However, a lot happened in a year, and to my surprise, I didn't actually think that the writers would literally make Nova an isekai character. To my defeat, as I thought about Unichørd stories since Crossbeat, it was obvious that this was the route Donuts was going with, if not always intended. Now, we could go beat by beat and see all the moments Nova timeshares with his youngest daughter. However, all we have to do is look at one scene. That scene is the Lumina and Arya interaction in Ichihoshi 404 Not Found story. For context, Ichihoshi tells a story of Unichørd assisting Lumina in a system maintenance routine. Despite being in the age of smartphones and having a supercomputer at their disposal, no one checked to make sure they weren't doing this during heavy rain, which of course leads to a thunderstorm. Naturally, lightning breaks Lumina Studio's power, causing a malfunction in her programming. The story proceeds having Lumina repair damaged databases manifested as warped versions of the Unichørd members. After restoring the Michiru, Hayate, and Kokowa memory logs, she cannot return to the real world yet, because apparently she needs to fix her own data logs. She figures that she needs to find the alternate version of herself by time traveling to where Nova first created her 4 years prior. Hoping to find some cabin in the middle of nowhere, she finds a small church in a small town. Lumina figures that she was transported to where Arya grew up based on knowledge gleaned from Irie. Upon hearing some singing from the chapel, she enters seeing none other than Arya. There is something that quickly needs to be addressed. Time travel stories are doofy in general, but if Lumina's words are to be believed, then the setting of the Arya interaction is telling. She ended up in Arya's church, but to her knowledge only traveled 4 years ago. In the real world, Arya is supposed to have been dead for 4 years already, yet here she is. At the same time, she has to be here because Lumina is searching for the moment she inherited Arya's soul, which gave her life. At first glance, this isn't a problem because we are still operating in Lumina's warped memories, and that includes a hypothetical what-if story that would hurdle her far from the version we know. We need to paint a picture of how Arya's life in this hypothetical would play out. Walk with me for a bit. Imagine a world where Arya never became terminally ill. Lumina describes her appearance as looking young, suggesting that she is in great health. Imagine a world where Arya stays in a small chapel singing for the joy of singing. She is not worn down with the stresses of recording banger albums and a world tour, but never knowing the wonderful feeling of having her own song resonate across a global audience. Imagine a world where she never moved to New York. She never would have been scouted out by Mitsuhashi Sho, a perfectionist who worked her to the bone. Imagine a world where a reason for leaving the simple life never walked through those chapel doors. A simple girl who loved singing, but never went beyond this provincial town. Arya sits alone in this church as if she was waiting for something, or someone, to walk through those doors. The following scene is riddled with contradictions as Lumina's feelings betray her words. In between different lines of dialogue, it appears as if Lumina's entire personality shifts from preppy and youthful to somber and mature. Her inconsistent tones and inflections make it feel as if it is more than her acting out of character to the point of being overtly distinguished from the Lumina we know. That's because in that moment she walked through those church doors, Nova awoke from deep within Lumina's subconsciousness to meet and reassemble his memory of Arya. Lumina would struggle to do this if she had to rely solely on Irie's childhood memory and shoddy internet information. It is his memory of the woman he loved that will free Lumina from this digital detention. Even before they interact with Arya, the father and daughter see things differently. Lumina tries rationalizing why things seem out of place, like how an older Arya looks younger than in her records, and wondering how she can visually reconstruct a place that she has no data on, going against her AI. Lumina's overthinking is reeled in so that she doesn't ruin the moment for Nova, who is enraptured by the scene because everything feels so right. A place he once called home. Arya's youthful beauty, the way he remembers it, and an unmistakable singing voice that makes his heart skip a few beats. Lumina is in awe of the spectacle. Nova is caught up in the moment. Then, they start talking.
映像で見たアリアよりも若い。本当にネオそっくりだな。いや、これはあくまでも記憶データをビジュアル化したもの。本物のアリアの姿ではないのかもしれないな。それでも、この歌声は本物だと思えてならない。胸が高鳴る。これがアリアの歌声か。たまたま通りかかったものさ。歌声に連れられてきたんだ。いや、こっちこそ。君は歌が好きなのかい？そうか。そうだろうな。
Lumina, not putting her best foot forward, asks what looks like a stupid question. If anyone is going to know whether Arya likes singing or not, it would be Lumina. But perhaps something else is happening here. Nova, using Lumina's voice, asks Arya if she enjoys singing to ensure he gets the obvious answer. He has to make sure that his memory of her is intact. Her statement about singing being the core of her identity confirms that Arya was and will always be in his mind, confident while being sincere and gentle. On the flip side, Nova is awkward, often being blunt and mean, but is reminded of her virtues. As the conversation continues, Nova's personality completely slips out in the most awkward exchange.
あ、もちろん。僕は宇宙一楽しい音楽を目指す真っ最中だからさ。ああ、君ならできるよ。
Arya asks the heterochromatic-eyed stranger if she enjoys singing, to which Lumina responds that she aims to create the most fun music in the universe. Arya muses of how nice it would be for her singing to reach a wider audience, to which Nova softly responds, "Yeah, if it's you, you're capable." Despite his attempts to reconcile with Neo, lines like this are why people think he's a terrible father, because this guy has zero faith in his daughters. Jabs aside, this line is endearing because the audience learns something about him that isn't obvious when Lumina or Neo are imitating him. Crossbeat establishes that Neo is not one for sentiment, and Lumina catches herself on not being that much better in Unichørd. Their father, however, is very nostalgic about his feelings. The delivery of this line is a moment of Nova being himself in his flirty but awkward tone. He is reliving his enamored feelings for Arya, but before things get too weird, you know, since he's using his daughter's form, they are saved by the bell.
いや、こっちこそ邪魔して悪かったね。どうしたんだい？ああ、僕もそう思うよ。うん、またいつか。ありがとう、アリア。僕の大切な記憶でいてくれて。
As Arya leaves the chapel, she states that she feels familiarity with Lumina. On the surface, there is the whole spiritual daughter thing, so they are connected in a metaphysical sense. However, as more of Nova's personality emerges from Lumina, in a weird twist of fate, the scene is more literal. Lumina came to this place to reassemble her data. Nova used this opportunity to reconstruct his memory of Arya, from her looks, to her voice, to her attitude. This scene reminds him that even with the passage of time and being worlds apart, Arya is no stranger to him. She is someone he intimately knows, deeply loves, and desires to be with again. This leads to a bittersweet sentiment between them. Arya hopes that they will meet again someday, and Nova responds in kind. However, there is a massive problem now that he's been isekai'd into a super powerful sci-fi being. Lumina is immortal, which is why she struggled with ideas of sentimentality during Unichørd. This means that Nova is an eternal prisoner, unable to join his wife in the afterlife. There is a neat detail when Arya runs out of the church, where a wind rustling through leaves sound effect drowns out her steps, symbolizing her being whisked away by death, once again gone from his life. Nova can only watch and reminisce on how Arya is a precious memory to him. This oddly fixes the Lumina program. How does that even work? Throughout Ichihoshi, Lumina restores her memories of the other Unichørd members by making physical contact, at least as physically possible in a digital dimension, with their false counterparts. The need for contact appears to be vital, as Lumina can have entire conversations with nothing happening. It is only after contact is made that the data of her friends are restored. her success of the reboots is confirmed when, despite not actually being present, the others act in character. With this established rule, this creates a plot hole as Lumina does not come in contact with Arya at any point during their interaction, but is still restored. Of course, this is not a plot hole because it is Nova confronting his feelings of love and loss over Arya that sparks the contact needed to break out of the malfunctioning program. In a sense, his acceptance of his emotions is him feeling his heart, bringing him to tears when he wakes up.
目が覚めたのですな。よかったのだ。
無事だ。はあ、よかった。問題ないよ。そうか。元に戻る最後のトリガーは自分との対峙。アリアを通して僕は自分自身に触れたんだ。
本当？ルミナ、無理しちゃダメよ。
何をそんなに。
だってルミナ、泣いてるんだもの。
やっぱりどこか故障してるんじゃ。涙腺センサーチェックする？
いやいや、もう大丈夫。ボディも壊れていないよ。
では、その涙は一体？
なんだろうな。言葉にできない体験をしたとき、人間が流すものかな。
何よその回りくどい言い方。ルミナ、泣かないで。
Lumina, returned to the real world, is oblivious to the tears being shed because they are the tears of a broken man reconnected to his heart. She covers for the old man when giving her roundabout retort of humans releasing tears when experiencing strong emotions, which Kokoa just takes. The story ends with Unichørd overjoyed that Lumina is back after being out of commission for an hour. She is taken aback as her digital adventure surely felt longer than that, and proceeds to regale them of her escapades with Pumina. As Nova returns to Lumina's subconscious, he muses of how nice it was for him to connect to Arya's soul, if only for a moment. He continues with his belief that the venture they went through taught him that his daughter is in good hands with Unichørd, and gave him the opportunity to recognize his own soul. The soul of a loving husband and a proud father. If Chord is interesting, as doing this digital adventure deep inside of Lumina's subconscious creates a space for Nova to exist. Since Crossbeat, the writers were a lot more suggestive with moments like Lumina's jump in life experience in Unichørd, as well as her and Neo's bonding moments during Halloween. Turning him into his own character is quite the leap, but I can see why it is written this way. D4DJ's writing direction as of late strongly leans into this idea that Neo's main character arc is her pursuing to become Arya's successor, like she is meant to be, but on her own terms. This means that she will eventually need to reconcile with her father as a major step to that goal, and that kind of can't happen if he's dead. By making Nova technically alive this way, builds suspense on how Neo will have to come to terms with her dreams and her dad. Perhaps the Nova saga will tie a trilogy come Groovy Mix's 5th anniversary. While we wait on the bakery, enjoy this D5DJ montage, and happy Father's Day.
今夜は一緒に寝られないかもだし、その分の穴埋めはしてほしい。
颯。
仲良くしているところ悪い。だがここは共有スペースだからその辺にしてくれないか。無粋な真似をして申し訳なくは思う。だがユニコードの秩序を守るためでもあるんだ。しかし僕もプライベートのことに口を出すつもりはない。個室であれば存分にイチャイチャしてくれても構わんぞ。ルミナもこう言ってるし、行こっか。
こんな流れでできる 寝直して初夢を見直すのだ。あんな夢、私は絶対に認めないのだ。ユニコードのみんなとは固い絆で結ばれてるのですぞ。みんな私の前からいなくなったりしないはずなのだ。そうだよね。ここは颯、ルミナ師匠。
何がだ？
ぬあ師匠、びっくりしたでありますぞ。いきなり出てこないでほしいのだ。
僕の名前を呼んだのはミチルの方だろ。用があるのかと確認しに来ただけだよ。
それは確かに呼んだのだ。ごめんなさいなのだ。
いつもより顔色が悪く見えるな。しかも汗もかいている。具合が悪いのかい？
体はへっちゃらなのだ。ただ、嫌な夢を見てしまいましてな。
なるほど。悪夢でうなされたというやつか。それで寝直そうとしたが眠れなかったわけだな。
ルミナ師匠の言う通りですぞ。
眠れないなら僕と散歩しないか？外の風に当たれば気分も落ち着くだろう。
散歩？確かにいい気分転換になりそうなのだ。
よし、それなら行こうか。ちゃんと暖かい格好で外に出るんだぞ。
了解ですぞ。
もう夕方だというのに元気な子たちだな。
はあ。だが、どうやらそれもここまでらしい。ほら、あちらから迎えが来ている。
ほんとだ。親のお迎えか。
おい、ルミナ。一体何をして。お前、本当に大丈夫なのか？
ああ、少しこうしていてくれたらね。
わかった。
待たせプミナ。さあ、行くぞー。ハッピーバレンタイン。わー！いつもの僕の部屋をバレンタイン風に飾り付けしてみたよ。ケーキもマカロンもチョコフォンデュも 3D データで再現したんだ。食べられはしないが手に取ったりできるぞ。ここで一緒にお祝いしないか？ルミナもチョコもプミナも一緒ほら、おいで。そうだ、たとえバーチャルな世界だって僕らは孤独を埋められるんだ。まさかプミナに教えられるとはな。ハッピーバレンタイン。やあ、颯。
いきなりスマホに。どうしたの？
それはこっちのセリフだよ。てっきりココアと過ごしているかと思ったから、ユニコードチャンネルの方ではこの日を外したのに。もしかして、ココアと何かあったのか？
わかんない。あれ、誰だろう。ごめんね、ルミナ。ちょっと待ってね。
やあ、僕だよ。
あれ、どうしてわざわざ？
お悩み相談なら直接。と最近学んだからね。
いらっしゃい。
お邪魔しまーす。
ココア以外の人が部屋にいる。変な感じ。
僕もミチル以外の部屋に上がったのは初めてだ。
おー、キッチン広いな
そうだ。コーヒーはあるかい？
インスタントなら。
なら入れさせてくれないか？その方が話を聞きやすいからね。マスターは。
砂糖はたっぷり入れてくれると嬉しいな。あとミルクもね。ズレを受け入れて寄り添っていくってこと？
僕の場合はな、どうやって寄り添うのかは颯次第さ。まあ偉そうに言ってるが、僕のスーパーコンピューターでもみちるが何を考えているかなんて全然わからん。あいつは僕とのズレなんてお構いなしにあさっての方へ飛んでいくし。
ビューンとね。
ああ、でもあいつはそれをバカ正直に僕にぶつけてくれるからわかるが、ココアの場合は一人で閉じこもるだろ。きっと今もそうだ。だから颯がその扉を開けて二人にしてやればいい。それが一緒にいるということじゃないか。はい、コーヒーミルクマシマシ。
ありがとう。ふうあっち。
それ飲んで温まってから行きなよ。外は寒いからさ。さあ、出張マスター終わり。お邪魔しました。
ありがとう、ルミナ。